On YouTube. Griffin here, just coming back to you guys with another quick live stream. Not one of our extensive live streams that are 1 to 2 or in some cases 3 hours or anything crazy like that, but I had a little bit of time this evening before my laptop dies and my family gets back home. Just doing a little bit of work real quick to start the month, some of the office work. Those of you that own a pest control business, or any business for that matter, probably know what I mean, I'm sure. And for those of you that don't know who I am, of course, and you may be tuning in to my live stream, or maybe after it's a live and now video for the first time, you're wondering, who's this guy? My name is Griffin Thomas, of course. I own my own pest control company that you see here on this shirt, Preferred Pest Management. We're located in the Dallas, Texas area, specifically at the moment, Rowlett, though we will be getting an office in either Richardson or Plano here soon. And on this channel overall, I just document my overall, not necessarily pest control journey, but my overall business journey. I've done many things. I'm 27 years old, and I've been on YouTube for 8 years now. Crazy. Been on here pretty much since I was graduating high school, and I've done a whole lot of things from documenting, selling stuff on eBay, literally going out to like garage sales, thrift stores, book sales, this and that and the other, and flipping that stuff on Amazon, FBA, eBay, all that type of stuff, to trading stocks and futures and the stock market. If you all are interested in any of that type of stuff, I have lots of videos on all of that. I have over 800 videos on this channel now, I believe 7 or 8, maybe even 9 at this point, who knows, videos just documenting just everything that I do from a business standpoint. And the journey that we are in, knees deep right now, is growing a pest control business. I've been in the pest control industry specifically now for 6 going on 7 years, something like that. Back in like 2017, 2018 was when I officially got into the pest control industry. I started out as a mosquito tech, like a mosquito technician, and went from there to a big company, a lot of you may have heard of them, called Terminix. And then from there, I lost my job in 2020 when I was actually about to get certified. So you have a few steps in the state of Texas. You become an apprentice when you first get hired. Then you become a technician when you pass a couple exams. And then you can become certified, where you can start your own business, usually be eligible for management positions, this and that and the other. Once you become certified, I was literally 4 days from being certified. I still had to pass the test first, but 4 days from taking those exams, and I lost my job. So I decided, it was in the heart of COVID, around October of 2020, and I just decided, you know what, let's go ahead, pass these tests, start the business. Didn't have, any mommy daddy money or anything to fall back on or anything. So it was either A, pass these tests, start the business, get the business up and going as soon as possible, or go back and work for another company. And that's what I did. I had a few $1,000s from equity in a car that I sold. I thought it was like 8,000, but it turned out to be like 6. And then from there, how much else? Oh yeah, I cashed out my 401k that had like less than $4,000 in it. All in all, I had like 10K or less, is the whole point, to fall back on, to not just start the business, but also survive on, because of course I had no other income. Luckily, my wife had just gone back to work briefly. She's now a stay-at-home mom, thankfully. Helps us out big time with growing the business and all that type of stuff. But yeah, no, it's been a hell of a ride. It's been a journey, and the journey never stops. As soon as I remember when I first started my business, I was like, dude, if we can just do 10,000. At first I said 5, each time you're aiming for that next thing. I was like, if I can just replace my income, at Terminix I was making, on a bad month, 3,000 to 5,000. On a good month, just over 5, 6, 7. I had a couple $7,000, $8,000 months, which is not bad for a college dropout, right? I was when I was at Terminix, I was 21 when I started there. And, I was 21 to 23 years old, making, in some cases, $7,000, $8,000 a month. So, I was making good money, but, chips fell how they fell. And my whole thing was, if I can just replace my average income, if I can do $5,000 to $10,000 a month, I'll be set. And it's such a limiting mindset. That's one thing I try to stress to everybody that's like going to be starting their own business, regardless if it's in, pest control industry, plumbing, finance, whatever the case may be, right? I try to stress to everybody that's going to be starting their own journey that do not go in. You should have goals, don't get me wrong, but don't be careful of setting your goals too low, believe it or not, because I found that once I kind of hit those initial goals, the 5,000 and then 10,000 a month, especially 10, there was something about hitting 10,000 a month, allowing, and not just 10,000 in sales, I'm talking 10,000 like quote unquote being able to bring that money home. A lot of it you get to write off and all that stuff, right? Different topics for different days, but there were months I was literally bringing in to the household 10,000 a month, and once I got there, I kind of got comfortable. It's easy when you're looking outside at a amazing pool, amazing patio, you're in an amazing house, amazing situation. It's easy to get comfortable because you kind of are like, I made it, and you have to then create a story. You got to start creating these stories and chips put on your shoulder that people think that this is it for you. And, you almost have to get a little crazy, as some people would call, like saying, you're delusional, you're creating these situations and stuff that just doesn't even, it's not even reality. And don't get me wrong, especially if you do what I do, where you post your story, what you're doing, this type of stuff, you post that online, you're going to get some hate too, but you have to, my whole point is, if you set your goals too low in the beginning, once you hit them, you're going to be kind of in a, okay, now what type of place. And that's not what you want. Trust me, from my experience, it's led to approximately, now we're finally starting to slowly burst through that plateau, but it led to about a whole year. This last, not this last whole year, but I would say about the entire last whole year, I was kind of in a plateau. I was making excuses, oh, our housing cost is too much. We're paying $32.25 a month where we're living. Like, that's taking too much out of the cash flow of the business and this and that and the other. I was creating these stories as to why, like, we're plateauing, when in reality, it was just, hey, you need to sit down, learn more information, master Google Ads, which you guys know we've been diving into a lot the last few months now. And, just do what you got to do at the end of the day. But that all stemmed from me setting my goals way too low when I first started my business. So if you haven't started yet, or you're in the very early stages of starting, one thing I would suggest all of you guys, start with high goals. Be delusional. Be crazy. Like, shoot, when you hear the saying, shoot for the stars, do it. Like, don't aim for, let me just replace my income. Let me, make enough money where the spouse can be a stay-at-home and help me out, or whatever the case may be. Like, shoot for the freaking stars. Like, you should go home, or if you're home right now, pull out your laptop or your smartphone, whatever the case may be, get pen and paper and write it down, everything that if you could have whatever you wanted in the world, write all that stuff down, and then figure out how much it costs. Figure out, if obviously, say you're gonna finance it, because a lot of stuff is expensive, right? Like, say, if you're like me, for example, I've always wanted a McLaren, what's it called, a 270S or something like that. It's, for a good one, they're $200,000+ cars. That was kind of one of the first cars where I was like, if I can get one of these, I will feel good about stuff. Whatever it may be for you, write all that stuff down. Find all of the, like I said, all the expenses. What's it going to cost you per month to have your dream life? Not just your life where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable, I'm doing good, this and that and the other. Like I said, shoot for the stars when you're doing this, because like I said, if y'all are just tuning in, I see we got a few of y'all starting to file in. If you're missing like what we were talking about, just to summarize, I'm talking about how when I started my business, I sat my bar way too low in terms of goals. I was like, if I can just allow my wife to be a stay-at-home wife and, make $10,000+ a month, I'll be set. And that kind of trapped me. And now I finally started to burst through this plateau. It looks like we may have our first $25,000 month, knock on wood, assuming that we keep hitting the ground running how we are. Just locked in an exclusion job today. Just locked in 2 general pests, one with a fire ant, one with rodent. Like, month is starting off good, right? But, it took many months for me to realize, like, dude, you're the problem. You set the bar way too low for yourself, and now that you've gotten there, you've gotten complacent. And like I said a minute ago, I had to kind of create this chip on my shoulder, when that's kind of difficult when you're the one that is the problem, right? Whenever you're the one, you gotta put a chip on your shoulder that not someone else created from the outside world, right? It's easy to put chips on your shoulder when you got people, regardless if it's family, friends, whatever the case may be, telling you, oh, you're not going to do that. You're all talk. You're never going to do what you say you're going to do, this and that. It's easy to put chips on your shoulder, put your head down, get to work, do what you know you need to do whenever you have all those chips on your shoulder, right? Or at least in my opinion it is. Y'all can let me know in the chat if you think I'm full of it, or that's pride or ego or what. And I'm sure it is to a degree, but there's something to be said about negative energy, and using negative energy not to be negative and get down on yourself, but take that negative energy and create massive amounts of momentum out of that energy. Again, maybe I'm crazy, but I know me personally, anytime there's something about negative energy I can go much further with than positive energy. When people are telling me, oh, you're doing good, this and that, pat on the back, it's easy to kind of get an ego, be like, yeah, I am doing damn good. I'm a college dropout, not even 30 years old yet, got my wife, retired my wife, she's a stay-at-home, yada, yada, it's easy to blow up that ego, and then, like I said, you get complacent. But then when people start doubting you, people start talking this and that, the crickets start chirping, so to speak, it's easy then to be like, hey, fuck you. Like, I'm the shit. Like, y'all about to recognize, and then go out and do it, right? I mean, like I said, maybe I'm crazy, but that's me at least. Like, I love it whenever I have like doubters or haters, whatever you may wish to call them. But my whole point, going back to it, is set the bar high, because you will be amazed if you're doing everything we talk about on this channel for your business. You're going to be amazed how quick you do simple stuff like replace your income, make $1,000 in a day. Just all this stuff that, at least again, when I first started, I was like, man, if I can make $1,000 a day, or even just $1,000 in one day, just period, right? I was like, that'll be crazy. And now I'm like, I almost don't even want to get out of bed for anything under $1,000 in a day. So it's like, like I said, easiest way to do this, in my opinion, is literally get your pen and paper, your Apple Notes, whatever you like to use, get that out and start just making a list of, if I had my dream life, because obviously as Christians, our dream life is once we get up to heaven, but your dream life here on earth, what all would you have? How much would that cost? Like, how much would you need to make per month? Not just in sales, but in bring home money. How much would you need to make? Get that all listed, and then get to work. Don't do the basic stuff that I did, where I was like, man, if I can just replace my income. Again, limited mindset, thinking too small. Shoot for the freaking stars. Like, it sounds cliche, I'm sure, but again, what do I know? What do I know? I've only been in business about half a decade now. Like, I mean, what would I know? What do I know after going on 4 years now of doing my own thing? I didn't even see your chat here, Rob. Hopefully I haven't been sitting there for a minute. Rob Williams said, I see on your website you offer business services. I have been in business for a number of years, and I'm interested in learning about what you have to offer. How would I get in contact with you? Oh, I'm guessing that you're talking about, what's the website I had created? It was just a little one, griffinbthomas.com. I'm assuming you're talking about like consulting services. Yeah, in all honesty, like that, I don't even like, to be honest. You guys even know I talk on my channel a lot about how I don't sell stuff and this and that and the other and all that. But yeah, I mean, I would have to you might have been the one that emailed me, as a matter of fact. Rob, that name sounds familiar. Someone emailed me recently about those services, and a lot of it is just me having time on the schedule. I'm sure you know, like you said, you've been in business for a while yourself. We're entering the busiest of season right now over the next 3 months or so. I'm not going to say I just flat out don't have the time, but I have to find the time first and foremost to make that available, because of the fact that I do charge for that, because of course, like obviously like time is money at this point for me, but I still don't even like quote unquote charge enough to compensate for what I'm doing like within my business, because I guess I could like raise the price on that stuff, but there's something to me, it feels slimy. I don't even like charging people in general for that type of thing. But for me, it's more so like whenever I have time to do it, then, we can like set something up. Usually the best time is going to be after after August, generally speaking. Said it was me. Okay. Yeah. I thought the name sounded familiar. I have had people though who are like, man, I don't care what it's gonna cost, just name a number. And I'm like, y'all put me in a tough spot, man. Cause like, that's the thing, is like anything that I know, like I'm putting on here for free already. Could there be a question that I'm asked that I am like, dang, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even make a video about this yet or anything like that. Like maybe, I don't know. But that's why I just try to literally document everything on here. That way, and yeah, like I said, if you want to, you said you did email me. So I guess whenever I have some time, I'll like email you back. I think I just like saw the notification pop up or something at some point. I didn't read the email yet, but whenever I have some time, I'll check out the email, and we'll look to hopefully get something set up. Like I said, I want to preface, I guess it wouldn't be preface at this point since we're already talking about it, but I always like to say, like I've been saying the last couple minutes, like it's not something that like I'm trying to build a business around or anything like that. It's just that I'm getting to the point now where like I'm so busy that I pretty much don't have a choice but to charge for that time, because that's taking time away from what I can be doing with the business, or even doing for you guys on YouTube, which is glorified charity work, to be honest. I'm not even gonna say that. I don't even want to say that. It's not charity work, because like I said, I'm doing this for you guys, but at the same time, I'm doing it for me and for my future generation, so they can go on the internet and see like, hey, this was our great great granddad or whatever. And who knows, maybe the world ends before then and none of it matters anyways, but I'm doing it more so for like just for like my family that I probably will never even meet, because we're talking generations down the road, for them to be able to look back and be like, who was the guy that got it all started for our family? And then they'll be able to go online and be like, dang, fucking great 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 granddad was a bad mofo. He started out doing this, then he did this, then he did that, or I guess not now, because I'll be dead, but, then he did this, and this is what really did it for us, and man, that got the family tree going, right? But, yeah, to circle back to that, yeah, like I said, we can look to get something set up when you have time, when I have time, and all that stuff. I'm guessing you're just referring to, interested in learning what you have to offer. So yeah, I don't know when you say what I have to offer, if you're referring to like, you're just wanting to consult too, because that's the other thing too. Are we talking just like business consultation? Are we talking actual services? Because that website, it got created kind of before its time, to be honest, because there's stuff on there, I think like local SEO, website assistance or website creation, this and that and the other, which like, yeah, I have the ability to do. The main thing is do I have the time to do it right now? That's probably something that'd be like way further down the road, once I have like the foundation completely set with preferred pest management. I've got techs, I've got CSRs, I've got a manager in place. Like, pretty much I got time to start like another venture type of thing, if that makes sense. And in all honesty, I wasn't expecting the amount of people that have messaged me through that and like submitted their contact forms. And I mean, there's been a lot of you guys, to my surprise even, that are like wanting consultation services and this and that and the other. And like I said, I mean, I've prided myself for many years on, you know, hey, I don't sell anything on my channel, this and that and the other. And I don't want to like, you know, grind up against that or anything, like make it to where I do. But I mean, one thing I always tell you guys about our service businesses, what do I always talk about? Give the people what they want. You know, if the people want something, you got to figure it out at the end of the day. So, I mean, that's why one thing I was thinking about doing, someone else in the industry who's pretty well known was telling me that I should look into doing this, is if I don't feel like I necessarily have a lot of time to commit to like consultations and things like that, is, you know, we have like our groups, Discord, Facebook, all that stuff, totally free, don't charge anything whatsoever. But having like a quote unquote paid group, or even just simply if I don't want to charge for a group, which I really don't, by the way, having like just creating like courses around every single subject that has to do with our industry, you know, not in terms of like the bug side, right? Like in terms of the actual business, the Google ads, the local SEO, this and that, just the stuff that I know and I'm very confident in, that like obviously, you know, I posted on this channel for you guys. If someone doesn't want to have to search through the hundreds of videos that are on the channel, then here you go. Like, you can just take this and run with it. But yeah, like I said, either that or some kind of paid group where, you know, maybe we do monthly calls, like group calls, where like we're all getting in a group call and, you know, not just me talking, but all of us talking. And then maybe even like, I've talked about this in the past, even before this, but maybe even doing like actual events, things of that nature. But, you know, like I said, a lot of that is so far down the road that I don't really give it a whole lot of thought. It's just more so, you know, whatever you guys over time continue to show interest in, because it's not like we have a gigantic quote unquote following or anything. Y'all are subscribing by the day though. I'll tell you, I see y'all subscribing, which by the way, hopefully y'all are enjoying the stream so far. I know we kind of went off subject for a minute, but hopefully you guys have been enjoying the stream so far. If you are, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button. It helps me know that you guys like when we do these little random pop-up live streams whenever I have some time real quick, and it helps YouTube's algorithm know that, you know, people are liking the stream and maybe push it to other people that maybe otherwise wouldn't have seen the stream, and, you know, all that good fun stuff. And as always, I don't advertise my channel or anything, so the only way we grow is organically, either people finding us in the search or whatever the case may be, unless if you guys share the stream. So if you're enjoying it so far, like I said, just hit the thumbs up, hit the share button, and share it with somebody. I appreciate that big time. And of course, if you all are new to how my streams work in general, these are more so like Q&As. Occasionally I'll get on like a subject, like we were talking about setting goals and stuff like that briefly. But overall, it's kind of more so just Q&A, especially these where we're vertical format type of deal. It's more so just Q&A style. So if you have any questions about starting your business, growing your business, whatever the case may be, you all can always feel free to shout it out in the question box. I wanted to take a look too, while I'm on the laptop here, at how our Google ad is looking today. Because those of you that tuned into the live stream over the weekend, what was that, Saturday? You guys probably seen that I made some changes to the Google ad. And yes, so there has been a difference today in impressions, big time. So to put in perspective, over the last week or so, about 2 weeks, I really narrowed down I want to just take you back a little bit. So when we started our Google ad, of course, we were just targeting our entire service area, right? Well, one thing with that is we weren't getting a lot of impressions or clicks in any specific area, right? And that's a combination of things. One, we had the geographical area too big and our budget was too small for that geographical area. Because with Google Ads, obviously, they're gonna show your ad based on what they think it's going to take for you to get the number of clicks to reach your, your budget per day. So we have ours set at $200 per day on our main ad, and then we have like a little bed bug ad at like $100 a day. Well, with that, it has been taking months in the making of us running this ad to get any type of data on the Google ad because of the geographical area being too big for the budget. We were pretty much going to need to set that budget at like $1,000 a day for Google to give us enough impressions. And obviously we don't want to risk it back then with a brand new ad, send our freaking costs through the roof and then have nothing to really show for it, right? So what I ended up doing was, and this was actually per Google Ads experts online advice, they were like, go ahead and shrink down that area. Like wherever you live, target that area, which I didn't go with that advice because I already rank really, really well in our area. So there's no need of me paying for ads in that area. But take your area and go out about 5 to 10 miles in terms of a radius. So what I did was I targeted the areas that were relatively close to that I wanted to service. Well, with that, our impressions and clicks and just everything dropped. Our percentages were still great. Conversion rate, CTR, all of the percentages were very, very good. Like last week, our conversion rate was 50%. But why was that? Because we literally had 2 clicks all week, and out of 2 clicks, we got 1 conversion. So I mean, yes, that looked great in terms of the percentage, but we're not getting the volume of clicks needed to be hitting our goals in terms of how many leads we want to get per week. My goal is, one, to hit my daily spend. I want to spend $200 a day. So if I'm spending $200 a day, 5 days a week, $1,000 a week, ideally I want to be getting, bare minimum 5 to 10 leads a week is the goal. Now, obviously, Google and the ads have nothing to do with the actual cost per acquisition. That comes down to us closing sales, but you can't get leads and sales whenever you're literally getting 1 lead per week, right? Like it would take forever to get any amount of data to be able to tell, is this ad working? Is there certain zip codes that it's not working in or that it is working in? I mean, we were literally getting in some cases like 3 impressions per day. So just to give you guys some perspective on this change, what we did was we expanded it, not drastically, but we picked like 6 more zip codes that we wanted to target for a total population increase of I want to say at least 500,000 to 600,000 people. Pretty much we doubled, if not tripled, the amount of people that we're targeting. And it kind of shows with the impressions today. Today was the first day since we made that adjustment that those adjustments went live and our ad was running most of the day today. And instead of the usual, 2 to 6 impressions a day, we got 23 impressions. Now, let me see if we got any clicks. I don't think so. Yeah, because our cost is 0. So we didn't get any clicks today. That's not the end of the world. It's not great. I would have liked to at least got 1 click out of that. And again, we just made this adjustment, so I'm interested to see how the coming week or so progresses. But if we had gotten 1 click, that would have been a 4.5% CTR, which wouldn't have been excellent, but it would have been good if nothing else. And my laptop just died, so that's cool. But yeah, that is good news at least. So we got 23 impressions compared to, like I said, there were some days that I got 1 or 0. I mean, the average is probably 3 to 6. So we already, at the minimum, multiplied our impression count by about 5 to 6x, or no, 4 to 6x. And then on the high end, we multiplied our impression count by like 10x, just by making that little adjustment, just adding more zip codes to it. So yeah, I mean, like I said, with Google Ads, it's a constant, you know, it's like a, what are those oh man, what is that kid's toy called out in the playground? Is it a seesaw, I believe, where, you know, you're rocking back and forth, and, you know, or I guess I could just say a balance, if nothing else. Like it's a constant balance of, you know, okay, make some little tweaks this way, and oh, we overcorrected a little, maybe a little bit, oh, now. Like you're constantly trying to figure out this balance of what the people, yeah, seesaw, yeah, there we go. Thank you, P. Yeah, it's like a constant balance of like, you know, okay, maybe we need to throw in some more zip codes, and then you're like, oh, well, that might be too much. Okay, let's do that a little. Oh, well, maybe we need to increase the percentage of our bid adjustment in this zip code, and then it comes up a little. Like it's a constant back and forth until you find a good jive of, okay, now we're getting a lot of leads in this area, Yeah, we're getting a lot of leads in this area, but they're not qualified. They're either stuck up rich people that think they shouldn't pay nothing, or maybe it's poor people over here just flat out can't afford the service, unfortunately. Like, there's never ending moving parts to not just Google Ads really, but any campaign that you're going to be running at the end of the day. At least, again, that's what I have found. We've been running our Google ad now. Let's see, it was November when we started. So what, about 4 going on 5 months of running consistent. I've ran Google ads multiple times over the last, 3-4 years of owning my own business, but we've been consistently for, 4 going on 5 months now running it. And I feel like we're very close, because now we're getting leads for a not horrible price. I mean, the lead that we paid for last week was $52. To put in perspective, our Google local service ad that we got a lead from, that I didn't realize was even turned on, was right at $100. So in my opinion, if I can keep my lead cost on Google ads under $100, I'm doing better than what I could do with Google local services, right? So at $52, we're talking essentially cutting it in half in terms of what it would cost on Google local. So, and again, with Google local, it's going to depend, same thing with Google ads though, it's going to depend on your area. I know my cousin in the Midwest, he's telling me that he's still only paying anywhere between $15 to $40 per lead. We're down here where I've got endless amounts of competition on Google local services. It's now, $100 plus for one lead. So, I remember when I started Google local services almost 4 years ago down here, I was paying $15 to $25 a lead. I remember the first time I got a $40 lead, I about pissed at myself, because I was like, what the hell happened? Like, we were paying $20, $25 for the longest. Like, why I called them and everything, and they essentially laughed in my freaking face. They were like, well, let me look at your area, sir. And he looked it up, and he was like, well, what do you expect? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do I expect? I was like, I expect to pay what I've been paying. Like, I didn't get a notice or anything that, hey, lead costs are going up, any type of notification. I just went from paying $25 a lead to $40 and now $60. I'm like, why are the lead costs continuing to just spike? And he literally laughed, and he was like, well, I see that, there's over 60 companies, and this was 2 years ago, so I can only imagine how many companies are on there now. But he's like, I can see right now there's over 60 companies in your area. Do you know how many companies were in your area on Google local services specifically whenever you started? And I was like, I don't know, I think like maybe 10 or 20. And he's like, so, I mean, what do you expect? Like, what do you think we're gonna do? Like, whenever there's more supply in terms of companies and, you know, the demand is staying the same, you know, supply and demand. And I mean, I get it, but again, I was pissed off, one, because he's like making a joke out of it. Two, he literally he wasn't getting my point. My point was, is like, can y'all send out some kind of notification just saying, hey, just want to let y'all know leads are going up in your area in terms of the cost. So yeah, I mean, that gave me a bad taste in my mouth from the get after about a year and a half of using Google Local Services. And now I pretty much, I went in there because you can do maximize bid or maximize leads in terms of your bidding strategy. You can do maximize leads, which means you are willing to pay whatever you have to get a lead, or you can hit, you know, like a max amount that you're willing to pay. So I went in there recently and I just adjusted it to where I'm not willing to pay more than $35 per lead. And that's the minimum that they would even let you set it at now. So I was like, that's insane. We went from $15 to $25 a lead to now you can't even say that I want to pay less than 35. Like 35 is the minimum they'll let you set it at. So it's pretty crazy. P. Vasquez said, if you're on lead generation programs like Angie or Thumbtack, would you cut it in half and push it to Google? Are you referring to like Google Local Services, I'm guessing? Or you're saying like starting up like with Google Ads? I guess I'll answer it both ways. If you're talking about, because like you say, you're talking lead generation programs, for example, I mean, like, you know, ones like Angie, Thumbtack, I'm guessing Google Local Services too. Yeah, if you're talking that, I would probably, the budget, yeah, if you're, oh, Google Ads. Okay, so we'll start with Google Ads then. If you're wanting to start putting money into Google Ads, it depends on your budget. So, because, you know, say you only have a $500 a month ad budget, which I hate when advertisers, like whenever you're looking at going with an advertising agency, they're like, what's your ad budget? I'm like, I'll pay whatever I got to if I'm continuously getting leads from it. I just don't want to pay $1,000 and then get 2 leads and no sales out of it, right? I'm like, as long as the ads are making me money, I'll feed the beast over and over and over, because my rule of thumb and how I set all my campaigns up is as a sale comes in, I take, you know, that money and I pump it right back into the ad. Like, I don't, any money that is coming in from ads, because we use apps like CallRail and things of that nature where we know, hey, this customer came from an ad, right? When I know that, that money immediately gets shoved right back into advertising. Any money made from advertising, we are not keeping, because that is strictly for growth. Now, if something comes up business expense wise and we have to do what we got to do, right, to keep the business afloat, and, you know, you all know what I'm saying, right? Just shit happens, right? Then yes, if, you know, we have some customers come in from the ad, we'll do what we got to do to keep the business out of debt as much as possible. But the whole idea of us running ads is to get to a point to where not just one, the ads are sustaining themselves in terms of, you know, every dollar we spend, we're getting $2 to $4 out of it. Or yeah, I just misspoke. That's where we want the ad to be. We want the ad to be for every dollar we spend, we're getting $4 to $5 out of it. We don't want the ad just to be covering itself. But in the beginning, there's gonna be a growing period, especially with Google Ads, where you're gonna spend $1 and you might get 20 cents. You may get 50 cents. Like, you're gonna lose money early on Google Ads, especially when you're managing it yourself. But once you get to the point to where you're covering your costs, that's where you wanna take that money that's coming from the Google ad campaign. Every dollar that's made is going right back in. That way you're essentially at net zero. Now, obviously, when you're doing dollar per dollar like that, I know, technically speaking, you're losing money because you have your chemical costs, your wear and tear on your vehicle, your taxes, your yada, 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 right? I get it. But at the minimum, the ad is sustaining itself. That's why, as long as I have a campaign that is sustaining itself, I will literally feed it over and over and over. And obviously, we're working to improve it so we can squeeze every little bit out of that ad to where we get it to where that ad is to the point where every dollar we put in, we're getting bare minimum to upwards of $5 to $10 back. And then at that point, you can either A, continue to feed the beast, or B, start taking that money and that profit and reallocating it elsewhere. But my whole point, going back to your budget, which by the way, how's it going? Genesis Pest Management, get the likes up. Yeah, if you all are enjoying the stream, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up, share it with somebody. If you know somebody that could benefit from the stream, we'll be wrapping up here in a few, but go ahead and do me a favor and share it with somebody. I promise I'm not picking my nose. I got a random itch. But back to the whole point about like your budget with Google Ads and whatnot. Say your ad budget right now is, because you're not like me for whatever reason, and you don't share that same logic about as long as the ad is breaking even, I'm gonna invest whatever I need to. Let's say you're the type where you're just setting a set budget on your ads. Let's say you got a $500, or for easy numbers, $1,000. Let's say you got $1,000, because if you don't have $1,000 a month to put in ads, just don't bother. Do other things like local SEO with your Google Business Profile, jumping into every local Facebook group possible. Do all the stuff that we talked about in, I believe it was a stream we did a week or two ago about the differences between the free stuff that just costs time and effort versus the stuff that costs money. Because until you can afford to quote unquote burn $1,000 a month, don't bother with ads. With Google ads, that is. Not like you were talking about Angie, Thumbtack, Google Local Services. You know, those, if those aren't paying for themselves, and you're doing a horrible job at closing sales, because those are lead generating. You're literally paying per lead. You're not paying per click and this and that and the other. You're paying per lead. So if you're upside down on those, you need to fix your sales process before you even worry about advertising. But we're going to assume here that you have a good closing rate, at least 40% at the minimum, and that you got at least $1,000 a month. So the reason that I say $1,000 a month is still probably not enough to worry about dividing it up, as you're asking, is because let's say you're trying to divide that up evenly, right? Let's say you're doing, like you mentioned, Angie, Thumbtack, and then you want to do Google Ads. Well, that means you're only going to have about $300 to $400 for each one each month. Where, like, to me, if you have $1,000 a month, I would just go all in on either A, Google Ads, or B, which is probably the better, because 1,000 is still not even that much, but you can get by with 1,000 on Google Ads. If you're setting at 1,000 a month, I would probably go more towards just lead generation. I'd find one or two that seem to be working, because that's what I notice seems to be the trend, regardless of which area you're in, regardless if you're in Dallas, Texas, Charlotte, North Carolina, Kansas City, Missouri, New York. It doesn't matter where you're at. I notice that every single area seems to have at least one or two that are pretty good, at least to most people. Some people still be like, oh, they're shit, blah, blah, blah. But most people are in that same belief that, this doesn't work good in Charlotte, North Carolina, Angie sucks, but in Kansas City, Missouri, Angie's pretty good. There's not a lot of competition. As long as you pick up the phone, you're gonna have a good close rate, right? Figure out which is the best in your area in terms of a lead generating service, and just go all in on that for a little bit. Get it to, because the good thing about lead generating services is, like we say, you're paying per lead. So let's say you're paying, we'll just say $40 a lead on average, because the average that I hear is $20 to $60 for these lead generating platforms. So let's just say $40 a lead, right? Or easy number even, we'll up it, $50 a lead. So let's say your closing rate's 50%, right? $100 per acquisition. Very good cost per acquisition. And let's say your average contract is, we'll lowball it and just say you're selling everybody General Pest for whatever reason. We'll just say $500 a year. Very, very cheap, right? Like, we're trying to do low numbers. but you still took $100 and turned it to $500, or $1 and turned it into $5. And then, like we said, of course, you have all these other costs. And let's just say in terms of a net profit on everything, you turn that $1 that you spent on the ad, the 100 to 500, right? 1 to 5 makes sense. You turn that $1 into 5, even after all expenses and everything, you turn that $1 into 3. So now you take that $3 and you shove it right back. You just do the same thing over and over and over. And then once you get to a point where you have tapped that resource, either A, go to another one, or B, go ahead and at that point, take that excess money, shove it into your Google Ads. I don't like people using Google Ads right from the get-go. From my experience, my opinion, just how it's worked out great for me. If you can get very profitable in one of these lead generation services where you're paying per lead instead of paying per click, paying per impression, this and that and the other, it's very convoluted over here. It's very complicated. It's something where if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose your ass. So, it says message retracted. That's weird. Like I said, Google Ads is its own beast. Same thing with Facebook ads. Anything where you have to do more than just simply answer the phone, like a Thumbtack, like a Angie, like a Google Local Services, like there's a whole bunch out there, eLocal, whatever the case may be. Jumping over to something like Google ads, Facebook ads, Bing ads, Microsoft ads. I think it's the same thing now. Isn't it Microsoft Bing, or I don't know, maybe I'm thinking something else. Whatever the case may be, right, where you're actually having to manage an advertising campaign, that's a whole nother ballgame. So from my experience, like I said, take $100 and turn it into a net profit of $300 on something like a Thumbtack, a Google Local Services, whatever. Keep funneling it back to that over and over and over. And then once you see that, like, hey, I'm getting more profit than what Google or Thumbtack or Angie, whatever the case may be, can even keep up with, then, like we said, take that excess money, that excess profit from that ad and take it back over to Google Ads, and then start experimenting with Google Ads, learning the game. Realize that your first $1,000 to $5,000 is gonna go nowhere. If you can get a couple sales out of it, good. I got some sales whenever I went through my first $1,000 to $5,000, but nothing like we're getting now. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Hopefully it makes sense. Lead gen, I put 6K and get you, there you go, 4X. Like what we say, 3 to 5 is what we're looking for. So you're right there, right where we want to be. This year I put 10K, made 38. There you go. Well, pretty much 4X again. Let's see. I want to move from lead gen to Google for branding. That's interesting. If you're gonna look at branding, I do Facebook. It's much cheaper. My budget would be about $3,000 a month, $2,000 during slow season, $5,000 during busy. I think Google will have more longevity, and good point, Facebook would be good. Thanks. Yeah. Man, I had a little thing in my throat. Give me just a second. Freaking allergies kicking my ass. Yeah, and it brings up a good point. You were talking about doing it for branding. This is what I would do based on your average budget. If you're looking at, we'll just call it what'd you say, $3,000 a month average? Yeah. If you're looking at a $3,000 a month average, what I would do is, because you're wanting branding, what I would do, because you still want leads coming in, which by the way, you're killing it, dude. What I would do is I wouldn't worry about branding during your slow months. Hear me out. You show that your budget that you're allowing for marketing goes down considerably. We're talking 33% difference. Or no. We're talking 2,000 slow season, 5,000, but yeah, So we're talking over 50% decrease during slow season. So during slow season, I want that money to be still making us money, right? Then during busy season, and again, there's going to be people that disagree with me here. That's fine. To each their own. This is just my opinion, my experience, and everything. Because a lot of people would say, why would you want to waste money during busy season when literally people are looking for pest control? Like, I get that. Like, you can't go wrong either way you do this, but this is the way I would do it. Like, I'll explain it each way. The way I would do it is during my slow season, I want that money to at least still be making us a 2 to 4x return like you're talking. And then when we have more funds available during the busy season, because you can only spend so much on all these advertising platforms at the end of the day, I would take about 10 to 20% of that and shovel it over to like a Facebook, Instagram campaign, maybe even TikTok while it's still legal, that is. Don't get me started on that BS. But, invest in a good quality like video. Doesn't even have to have sound or anything. We've all seen those videos, right, where it's almost kind of funny, or it just grabs your attention, right? Even though it's an ad, and usually we just scroll right on. We've all seen those ads that actually catch our attention, right? And if nothing else, you remember the brand. Anyone ever heard of Pesty? Anyone ever heard of, what's the other one? There's a couple of them. Pesty's the main one, right? We all know them more as a joke, right? But they got our attention. They did a very good job at getting our attention and millions of other people, which is why they're still in business today. So, with that though, don't expect a huge ROI on it because it's not something that's tangible. You can't trace back to it. Now, I would still have your tracking number, this and that, everything in place. So if you do get calls and leads from that, you can at least somewhat, connect the dots in terms of a ROI, but a lot of it's not going to be tangible. So there's no way to really know ultimately, unless if you literally ask every single customer, how'd you hear about us? How'd you hear about us? How'd you hear about us? You're not going to have a tangible way for the most part to track whether that brand building campaign is actually giving you a huge ROI or no ROI versus a Google ad, a Angie, this, that, the other, right? So that's why I would do a smaller percentage towards like a branding, and then I would still stick with everything that's working for you, and then really start to invest in Google ads, if that makes sense. I'm catching up on the chat, but I saw I hate Angie Lee. Me too. I don't use them either. I was just using that as an example, talking about lead generating platforms. I'm catching up here. I saw a bunch of comments come in. Let's see. Logo truck, word of mouth, and reaching out to commercial businesses and home management companies. I'm assuming you're talking about like for like rentals and stuff like that. Let's see. When running ads, are you running specials? How do you utilize those? So one, to your first point, Official Bully Co. Yes, definitely be doing all of that still. We actually talked about that in a previous live stream too. That was on our side of the board where we were saying stuff that's free to do, and you should, well, I guess you still got to pay to put the logo on your truck, but the word of mouth, this and that, like, yes, you should definitely be doing all of that. And then to your question about when running ads, are you running sales? Absolutely. That is where we use the logic of a click magnet. If you guys haven't heard of the guy who's been going just absolutely viral lately, I've been watching his content for a couple years, and he's just taken off all of a sudden. Alex Ramosi, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of him by now, but he has a lot of good content and stuff about creating lead magnets and this and that. And that's what we do. We create headlines that just seem, they almost make you feel stupid for not clicking on them. Like, get your first pest control service for free, or get X for either free or discounted so much that someone's like, man, like, either they think one of two things, maybe even three. They either think, one, I'm stupid if I don't at least look into this. Two, they think this may be too good to be true. There's a catch to it, so you can go overboard with it. Or three, they think that, oh, that company must be shit then, right? So you got to be very careful with it, but we do those. And oddly enough, the campaign that's worked the best for us so far is the one with the highest price. Because I've done it all. I've done the free. I've done the super, super, super cheap. The like get your first service for $49. The stuff everyone seems to be doing today. Then recently I upped it to get your first service for $99. Guess which campaign? Well, I already told you which campaign did the best. The $99 one did the best. So, you definitely want to plug in there that there's some type of deal. Label yourself as the #1 best pest control company in fill in the blank. Which, by the way, Google Ads has a keyword insertion tool where you can put in brackets and it will automatically know based on where that person is located to fill in their city name. So ours, it just says #1 best pest control company in, and then it says bracket location city, and it knows to just automatically put in there Carrollton, Texas, Plano, Texas, whatever town they're searching from, to put that in there. So definitely do that, and definitely make it local. I messed up and didn't work towards quarterly. What do you mean by didn't work toward? Oh, I get what you're saying now. Because of your ad budget. Man, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's why I switched to monthly and yearly billing. Even with yearly billing, it's not ideal because we get a lot of yearly payments, February, March, April, May, and then it kind of tapers off after that. We still have our monthly and this and that, but yeah, I get what you mean. Mosquito control, lower size, subdivision, reach out to HOA. Yep. Where are you located? I'm located like in the Dallas, Texas area, kind of like northeast Dallas, towards the Plano, Texas area. Do you do weed control? No, I do not currently. However, I am very, very much considering. I actually even purchased the book to get like my lawn and ornamental certifications, like to be able to do like weed, fertilizer, the full 9 yards. If I do that, it probably wouldn't be till next spring because I'd probably take the exam sometime over winter when it slows down a little bit. It's not that hard. Yeah. The only thing that makes me think it is my God, the terminology in that book is like, man, it's so boring. So many names of different lawn pests and this and that. But yeah, I'm sure it's not too difficult. I always give my cousin in the Midwest crap about it. I'm like, bro, if you can pass it, anybody can pass it. But no, he's smart. He's more book smart than me. That's the crazy thing, is a lot of people think like, oh man, bro, like you're smart. You'll get this, you'll get that. I'm like, bro, y'all don't realize I'm kind of, I almost said the R word. They would have kicked my stream off if I said that because that's a mean word. But I'm like, bro, y'all don't understand. I'm kind of stupid when it comes to book smarts. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm very smart on technical stuff, like especially things online for whatever reason. And even that, I'm not overly smart. I mean, hell, this YouTube channel's not huge or anything, right? But, when it comes to retaining information for tests and things like that, I've always been bad. I was actually, as a teenager, diagnosed with like testing anxiety. Funny thing is, speaking of which, the first time I took my certified applicator exams here in Texas for pest and termite, bombed the shit out of them. Got like 60% when you need 70 plus to pass. One of them I got close, it was like 68, which really pissed me off, but bombed all of them at the end of the day. And told my doctor about it. I was like, yeah, because I told him I was cool with my doctor then and told him what was going on. And I went in and he was like, how'd it go? This and that. Like a few months later, I was like, yeah, I didn't do good. And he saw my knee bouncing when we were talking about it. And he was like, do you happen to have like anxiety or anything? Like, do you know of anything like that? And I was like, no. And this is my pediatrician, by the way. And he was like, well, here's a doctor I know. Go talk to him, blah, blah, blah. And told that doctor about it. He gave me some random little pill for test anxiety. He said, don't take it daily. He gave me like just enough for like a couple tests. And he's like, whenever you get ready to go into exam or study even, take one of these. Sure enough, I took one that morning. I went in there. I ain't gonna lie, I felt fated taking the test. But hey, I passed it with flying colors the second time. I went from like 60%, 68% up to like 93, and I did nothing different. I studied the same, did everything, just freaking passed with flying colors. So, I mean, testing anxiety is definitely a real thing. For those of you that think you may be shit test takers, you may just have testing anxiety. I don't know, but I'll tell you all, I'm definitely not, the most book smart, but, like I always tell my wife, the A students always end up working for the D students, which I wasn't a D student either, but I was average when it came to scholar stuff. Let's see, make sure I didn't miss any of you all here. Need to be licensed for herbicide, right. I run a company in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. We run like 200 a month ads. 200 a month ads on Google local ads. We get most of our business from Google Maps. Same here. Yeah, just today I got 3 leads alone. Friday I got 6. I mean, man, when I'm actually able to answer the phone, or my wife's able to answer the phone, we sell like a mofo. But, that's the thing. What do you prefer, monthly, yearly, termite renewal, charge inspection, and warranty price, one time a year, divide per month? I mean, even though I do love monthly income, you all know I talk a lot about the power of monthly cash flow in your business. I will take yearly all day because you lock them up for a whole year. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? Like, we don't do refunds or partial refunds or anything like that when it comes to paying for the year. When you decide to pay for the year, you're locked in for the year, which is good for both of us. You're not having to worry about paying us anymore, and we don't got to worry about you canceling within 30 days, 90 days, whatever the case may be. So I still prefer paying for the year because also, it's a longer term outlook. It forces you to think longer term. You can't just look at your monthly income rising and think, oh man, I'm the shit. Like, you literally, when you're first getting started, you see, okay, yeah, April of 2025 is looking great. We sold 10 services at an average rate of $600 a year. We're already at $6,000 revenue for April of next year. But guess what? May's at 0. May of 2024 is at 0. So guess what we got to do? We roll over to May, we get the fuck to work. Like, it forces you to not get comfortable for at least a year at the minimum, right? When you're first starting out, it forces you to still continue to have that back against the wall each month and go and sell. But like I said, there is something to be said about monthly cash flow too. It's nice to know, for the most part, outside of the couple cancels as you get bigger that you're going to get month to month, it's nice to know that each month you're, like, I know on the 15th of every month, on the 1st and 15th of every month right now, on the 1st, I usually get 1,000 to 2,000. And then on the 15th, I usually get anywhere between 5,000 to 6,000. And that's every single month, just from the monthly recurring services, or not recurring services are monthly, but monthly payments on recurring services, regardless of when the recurrence may be of the service. It's monthly for the payment. That is nice to have. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, just to be able to know every month, okay, we're probably gonna have $6,000 to $8,000 just plopped into our account, on top of any yearly, on top of any new starts, so on and so on, right? I do quarterly. I like to collect up front for termites. Annually, they pay more for quarterly to check them. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Terminix does that, if I remember right. They will bundle the pest and termite, and it actually causes the termite to be more expensive. Sneaky little trick Terminix did there. I know a dude that had to take an IPM course from Purdue. Yeah, I've heard that too. I'm turf grass, IPM turf grass. That's interesting. I worked for a pest control company making $12 million a year. Good little business there. Now I work for a smaller company and plan on starting something at some point. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, that's actually my goal long term, is if I decide to keep this business long enough, I told my wife I want to be doing at least 50 million in recurring revenue. Recurring, not new start in one time, this and that. 50 million in recurring revenue. It started out as 10, but then like I told you guys, you got to learn to aim higher, aim for the stars. When I started running the numbers on 10 million, I was like, 10 million is not enough. I was like, we need to up it. And I said, we need to get to doing 50 million a year in recurring revenue. And obviously we're a long ways from it, but I'm 27 years old. I got time on my side. And I'm learning so much every single week. That's why I always tell you guys on this channel, like, I'm like, damn, if I knew what I just learned this week 4 years ago, like, I would be blowing the competition out of the water by this point. But that's the thing, like, whenever you aren't given a golden spoon when you come out the womb and you actually have to work, fail, learn, work, fail, learn, take a couple steps, work, fail, step back, learn, take 5 more steps. Like, it takes time. Like, you can't just skip the line unless if, like we said, you're born with a golden spoon, you managed to save up a lot of money before you started your business, whatever the case may be. When you're someone like me who started with virtually zero and you're growing that company from blood, sweat, and tears, it's gonna be, you're paying tuition just like you would for college. It's just you're paying it with each mistake or each new lesson in general, however that may come. You're still paying tuition at the end of the day. If I were to add up how much money I've lost doing dumb shit and learning from it, I'd probably say that number is, we've been in business almost 4 full years now. I would say that number's over $50,000 already, if I'm being completely honest. Well, this house we're in right now, this is a, let's see, $1,500 a month over, I'm talking about just in money wasted, $1,500 a month over the last 12 months. That's what, $18,000 just within this last year. Moving into this house was a mistake. I've said it multiple times on this channel. It was stupid. I got complacent, and it is what it is. It'll never happen again. We're about to move into a house that is almost half the price of this house. I paid my stupid tax, paid my tuition to the game. And like I said, that's just one mistake. There's at least $32,000 out there of other mistakes. But I've learned from them, and they've made me, one, a better business owner, a better leader, a better even follower of Christ, because boy, I've had to lean into my faith a lot over the last year or so, especially with coming off of anxiety and depression medication. As a business owner, like, I mean, they're the withdrawal and this and that. Like, I'm just now, knock on wood, slowly getting over withdrawal. I've been battling withdrawal for over a month or so now. From what I read online, withdrawal should only last maybe a month or so. But then I heard from people in actual groups that the medication that I was on can take up to a year. So that definitely stressed me out at first, but that's a whole different subject. Point is, with each thing in business, life, etc., I'm learning, and I feel like, in my opinion, my humble opinion, that I would not rather, because I've thought to myself in the past, like, man, I wish that I stayed at Terminex another 2 to 5 years, saved up money, because I could literally skip the line and like pay a coach or whatever the case may be. But then I look back on it too, and I'm like, dude, like, the way that I've been learning it though is it's still been a much more rewarding experience because I wasn't at Terminex another 5 years. I don't know if I'd have lasted another 5 years at Terminex or any other company for that matter. So, yeah. Justin, you should do it. It's easier than mosquito. Yeah, we don't have mosquito problems really over here. Just bought my second skid sprayer. Oh yeah, that's awesome. I made $15,000 this month. There you go. I haven't even, man, it is April. I didn't even check last month yet, but I got a feeling my last month was probably right around 15 as well. I was telling my wife today, I was like, man, if April 1st was a sign of anything to come for the month of April, we're gonna blow through 20 this month. We may even hit 25 plus this month. So knock on wood, God's good. Let's keep it going. Official Bully Co. said, Justin, you are a business owner now. Input on how you feel with what you make and the amount of work you do compared. Yeah, so I'll say this. When it comes to that point, entrepreneurship, business ownership, whatever term you may want to use for this, is the one thing that you will do for 1 to 5 years and actually make less money per hour when you actually break down how much work you actually do. Because there's nights where I will pull an all-nighter. Not very often, but there are nights where I'm just in a zone and I'm like, dude, like, we're getting shit done. Like, we're working through the night. We'll smash a couple energy drinks throughout the day tomorrow. We'll be fine. Like, well, we got to get this done. Like, you'll know, especially if you're a solopreneur first getting started, you will know when you're in one of those zones, specifically on like laptop computer work. You will know, like, hey, I need to keep this going. Just work as long as you can. But my whole point to that is when you break down the hours, you're making less than minimum wage early on. Now, how long does that last? It depends on how quick you learn, how quick you adapt, how much money you have to put in, this and that and the other, right? For me, thankfully, it was only about 3 months, 3 to 6 months before I was really starting to make serious money. And it was like, quote unquote, worth it to an average person. But business and entrepreneurship as a whole is, again, this is just in my own opinion, from my experience, it is the one thing that either you're meant for it or you're not. And what I mean by that is are you willing to eat shit? Are you willing to, like I said, go through those 24 to 48 straight hours of being awake, and not even get paid for it, by the way, because you're going to get paid for it, but it's on the back end. Is doing things that are building your brand, building the ad, doing this and that, building the website, right? Are you willing to do all of that and not see a return for possibly months or even a year, right? So something to think about. Official Boy also said, Griffin, I've never watched your lives or videos, just happened to swipe down on YouTube lives and here I am. Oh, that's awesome. Shout out to YouTube Algo putting in work tonight. How did pest control career start for you? Bro, that's so funny. So I have a grandpa, old mean bastard. Sorry, grandpa, if you see this, but he knows he's a mean old dude. But he's been in pest control for like 40 years. Had no idea how much money people make in pest control. Zero. I went through 5 or 6 different jobs before I saw a job listing for Terminix down here in Dallas. It said starting $50,000 a year. I was like, bullshit. I was like, I knew what Terminix was. Like, I knew they were a big company, but I was like, they're not paying $50,000 to spray some bugs. I was like, no way. So I applied, didn't hear nothing back, and I needed a job like ASAP because we had just moved here. I was trading stocks full time here on YouTube, as a matter of fact. And it was just too inconsistent. I'd have a day where I made $700. I'd have another day I made $600 to $800. Then I'd have a day I lost 12, right? Like, it was just very up and down. And I was like, dude, I got to get a job. Like, this is way too inconsistent to try to predict. And they hadn't called me. It had been like a week. And I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and apply for another pest control job. And I saw Mosquito Joe down here was hiring. They were only paying like $15 an hour for starting out. But I was like, like I said, I need a job. And at this time, $15 an hour was decent. It was 2017, 2018. Like, $15 an hour was still seen as kind of a decent wage back then. Now it's like minimum wage, it seems. But so I started there. Terminix called me up like a week into working at Mosquito Joe. And I was loyal because I liked the owner, Mosquito Joe. He was a nice guy, kind of, I won't say dumb, but not the smartest business owner, in my opinion, because it was a franchise that he owned of Mosquito Joe, and he had like 2 or 3 vans at the time, very small still, and he was kind of not, from what I heard, he has already sold it, or he's looking at selling it, from what I've heard through the grapevine. But I worked there, and I turned down my first Terminix offer because they wanted to hire me as a termite tech, and I was like, doesn't termite tech still make $15 an hour? They were like, well, it's about to be 17, but yeah, right now it's 15. I was like, I'll pass, because my grandpa had told me, stay away from termite. If they want to hire you as termite, don't do it. You do not want to do termite work every single day. And I was like, okay. So hearing that, I was like, I'm good. I'll pass. I see the position I wanted, pest control tech in Plano, Texas, pop up. And I got like the little email notification from Indeed that it popped up. So I applied within like 2 days. I don't know if it was because now on my resume I have Mosquito Joe listed on there or what, but they called me like quick. My old manager, he called me up and, did like a phone interview. Then he did an in-person interview. Then he did an in-person interview with the branch manager sitting into. Branch manager is like this big old, or not big, but let's just put it this way. He thinks a lot of himself. He goes by, which his name, to be fair, is Chuck Davis. Shout out to Chuck D. But that's literally what he went by, was Chuck D. And he definitely played the role too. He had a big old, like, almost like Rolex type of deal, this and that. And, definitely thought a lot of himself, right? And he was like, yeah, I really like you, and, this and that. And he was like, when can you start? And I was like, probably within 2 weeks. I'm putting in 2-week notices and that. Oh, you start Monday. Just start Monday. Just quit. Would you want me to do that to y'all? I didn't say that out loud at the time, but I was thinking that. And I was like, okay. So that's what I did because I wanted that money, right? I wanted that 50K plus, which did turn out to be 50K plus because I was making like 70,000 plus a year. But yeah, that's how I got started. And I still to this day tell my grandpa, I'm like, bro, you're petty as hell for not telling us how much money you can make in pest control. I was like, this is crazy the amount of money you can make. So yeah, that's how it got started. And then 2 years and change in was when I lost my job 4 days before becoming certified, which, like I said, joke's on them for that, because why would you fire somebody that's about to be certified? Yeah, pretty dumb move, but went and from there started my own business. So, and then the rest has been history. Grew it, like I said, from 0 to 6 figures in 1 year, and just slowly but surely chugging on up to 7. Hopefully going to be hiring. We've already hired a tech once before, but that ended in a shit show. So hopefully this go around it'll work out better. I'll probably be hiring here. The goal was by right now, but I want to be better safe than sorry, and we'll probably wait until later this year. We'll see. It just depends, right? Let's see. I never was a tech. Kind of just went through brand new field. Thankful I met really good people, like my mentor. That's awesome. Yeah, that helps. Oh, Truly Nolan. Yeah, I know about Truly Nolan too. How's it going, Sam? Man, I see we got a lot of y'all in the chat this evening. What do you think of EcoShield? I don't know enough about them, to be honest. I know they just started randomly popping up in my area, which I don't like. But no. From what I understand, I think they got pretty good reviews. I don't know about, like, to work for them. I actually don't know a lot about them, to be honest. Like I said, I just started seeing some of their trucks recently, so I don't really know a lot about them. I'm sure they're another one of those companies that are on the up and up. They seem to have some private equity money behind them, so if that's the case, they're probably going to keep growing very quickly. I'm trying to hit 5 jobs a day by next year. Oh, you got that, man. Like I said, hey, what I say about these goals, bring them up. You want 5? Say 15. So I'm aiming for 15 within the next year. You'll hit 5 so quick, I promise. How's it going, Mark? Mark Hamilton. I'm 10 years in and want to start my own, but non-compete is stopping me. Come here. Get fired. But no, don't get fired unless if you're fully ready to start. But that is one way. And then the other way is also read into that non-compete. Because non-compete in 99% of cases is not what you think it is, to put it lightly. It's pretty much just there for you to not be able to go steal their customers. Because they cannot stop you from starting your own business. You ask any legitimate, and again, I'm not a lawyer, nothing like this isn't me giving like lawyer advice. Go talk to one even, as a matter of fact. And they will tell you more than likely, in most cases with these non-competes, it's just there so you cannot go take their customers. They cannot stop you from starting your own business as long as you're not working for them. Now, obviously, you can't go start some shit on the side. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But that will get you in a world of trouble. But if you really want to make that leap, make the leap. Either A, like we said, you can get fired. And, you know, I wasn't even trying to get fired. Like, when I got fired, I was like, what the fuck did I do? I was like, I constantly, my route, just to put in perspective, my route was getting 20 plus cancels a month when I took over. By the time they fired me, it was down to like 6 to 11 a month. I was like that 50 Cent meme. I don't know if y'all seen that 50 Cent meme where he was talking about, oh man, who was it that got mad at him talking shit or whatever? Was it Nelly or... I don't remember if it was Nelly or Floyd Mayweather, whatever the case may be. He heard it. He was like, what the hell did I do? Like, that was me. I was like, what the hell did I do? I was like, I got this route down, literally dropped the cancel rate by 50+%. Like, I'm just listing off, like, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And it didn't matter. A customer called in and tried to say that she told me she wanted to reschedule, and that by us charging her, it put her in financial distress when it was the end of the month. And any of y'all that know Terminex and route completion, how it affects your pay, this and that, will know exactly what I'm talking about. I explained to her how my pay works because, like, I'm blunt like that. I'm like, hey, I got to get paid and your stop got to get done. And she didn't even say none of this to me, by the way. She just said she wanted to reschedule. And I told her, I explained to her, I was like, hey, you know, I get it. You know, if it's fine with you, because I didn't know she just wasn't going to be home or what. I was like, if it's fine with you, because this literally affects my pay, I was like, if you will at least let me get this job completed, I can schedule an extra service for you to come out sometime next month too. Does that sound good? She said yes. I even had the text and everything. They didn't care. So, you know, it is what it is. It all worked out for a reason. But like I said, that's one way you can definitely get around that, is getting fired. Company I worked for was making millions a year. Millions a year was handed down to the owner through 3 generations. So well established. That's amazing what you have achieved. Yeah, it's all right. Like I always say, you know, you got to put it in perspective. You know, yeah, we went from 0 to 6 figures in 1 year, but now what, right? How long is it going to take us to get to 7? Because we're already 2+ years since then, and we're not at 7. So, you know, that's the mindset that I'm taking. And like, what's my end goal? My end goal is at least 8, preferably 9. So we're talking about figures, 8 to 9 figures is what we're aiming for. So while it is good, and I always have to remind myself to practice gratitude, at the same time, I have to constantly, like I was talking about, reinvent these chips to put on my shoulder of, hey, you still ain't shit. You're not even like a blimp on, you're not even a booger on some big company's nose right now. Like, you know, I always got to remind myself that. Can we talk about non-competes? Well, we pretty much addressed that a little bit. Let me know if y'all have any more questions about that too. Terminex is my competitor. Yeah, same here a little bit. Julie cares how to use that to stop you. Yeah, like I said, man, it's just there to make sure more than anything that you're not gonna go, you know, take your customer route sheet, print it out, and when you quit or get fired or whatever the case may be, just freaking knock on every single customer and, you know, destroy that route, right? Landed a $21.50 a year commercial. Nice job, my man. Tropical Fruit Loops. Love that YouTube handle too. P. Vasquez said, hey Mark, open up now and at least you can have an earlier established date. Also get credit when you start and you can read the non-compete. Yeah, and like I said, if you're gonna do the whole start while you're still working for someone, regardless of the size of the company, with the whole non-compete thing, if you're gonna start it while you're still there, definitely be planning on exiting within weeks, in my opinion, just because it can create a legal nightmare. Where do you get your date labels and your company rodenticide stickers from? You asking me? Where do you get your date labels? Well, I'm trying to think. Those actually come in, if I'm thinking about what you're asking, if I'm thinking of what you're thinking of, I believe those come in my rodent stations, the Easy Cleans. So, if I'm thinking of what you're thinking of, at least. You can let me know if I'm tripping and you're talking about something else, but I think that was what you're talking about. Best advice for starting off with about $5,000. There you go. You about where I was. $5,000. I have a lot of my own equipment already, including sprayers. Invest in either A, you don't have to invest in this because you can learn it yourself, but you're still going to have to invest some money in terms of plugins and things like that. So you do still have to invest in it. Invest in your website. Having a good optimal website is key. Invest in a good logo. If you can't create it yourself, my wife helped me create mine and she did a great job. It's very simple, but very effective. Invest in all the basics, good uniform. You want to look as professional as possible because you're setting the expectation from day one of what type of brand you are. And we actually addressed this a little bit, talking about branding with clothes and this and that. Like, I'm not saying with that money, go all out, get freaking a whole week's worth of labeled shirts. Though I will say, if you go through Queensboro, which is actually local here to Dallas, Texas, they oftentimes will have these shirts for like $12.95, which is a very good deal. But that's where I would start, and then from there, do those lead generating services that we were talking about. I'm gonna have to get off here in a minute. The wife said she's getting ready to pull up. Let's see, 1K legal wise, 1K. There you go. That's another good route as well. P22 makes 670 year. Houston, it's easy to hate on corporate, but they do. That's true. This is very, very true. And then yes, the bosses suck usually. I specialize in termites. Critters. How do you get out of no compete? Either get fired, getting fired is the main way. But yeah, EcoShield's so weird they pop like a spot lantern. True. Yeah, I thought I was the only one. There you go. Get fired. That's a clippable moment. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, get on it. Yeah, I did try to apply for unemployment, and freaking Terminex documented it as it was a legit fireable offense. I was like, whatever, dude. Let's see. That's awesome. Congrats for success at 27. Inspirational. Yeah, no, like I said, yeah. I mean, like I said, I always have to practice gratitude because we're definitely blessed. But, all you got to do is just put in the work, man. Put in the work. Like I always tell people, the harder I work, not just the harder, but the harder and smarter I work, the luckier I get. The more open I have my mind to new information and know and understand the fact that I don't know it all, the luckier, quote unquote, I get. So yeah, if you just keep that mindset every single day and just work, you'll get it. But yeah, no, like I said, let me see. Do you have a shop online locally? I don't sell pesticide or anything, if that's what you're asking, but I use Veseris, VES, was it IRIS, something like that, or maybe VESERIS, something of that nature, is who I use, and they have pretty good ones, good deals and stuff. But yeah, no, we were on here a lot longer than I expected. I wasn't expecting this many people on a Monday night hopping in and whatnot. It was great. We were at it for almost an hour and a half. I appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in. If you see this after it goes from a live to a video and you have any questions, feel free to drop it down in the comments. By the way, lastly, if you all aren't that are already in here, if you're not already in our free Facebook group and Discord group, those are free to join. Links for that should be in the description. That says my LinkTree. If you click my LinkTree, all the links that would benefit you are going to be in there. And like I said, they're totally free. Discord, we got like 300 members in there. Facebook, we're over 120 now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Of course, if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and smash the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you'll be notified when we do like these live streams. I try to go live minimum once a week, and I try to post some type of video that's helpful, hopefully, for you guys. Ideally once a week as well, usually on Wednesdays or Thursdays. And yeah, we're just chugging. So as always, I appreciate you guys, I almost said chilling in, tuning in. And like I said, if you haven't already, share the stream with somebody, smash thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.